All right, welcome into the latest edition of The Walkout. Pauliner Jr. here inside Paycor Stadium with Jay Morrison on a day where the Bengals lose again, this time to the New England Patriots, 26-20. A last drive, a last-ditch effort falls short. They've now lost 8 of 9. It is not great. Jay, I know you must have a song for this.
I do. It kind of has double meaning, a little bittersweet, but I'm going to go with Thanks for the Memories by Fall Out Boy, because this kind of felt like Joe Flacco's swan song with his team.
Let's roll with it. Let's hit it.
It's the Walkout with Paul and Jay, with red hot stories from post-game, interviews, analysis within the hour, fun at the Growler.
All right, welcome into the Walkout presented by Joseph Toyota of Cincinnati. Yeah, thanks for the memories. Could be the end of Joe Flacco in Cincinnati. We will talk more about that as we get into the second segment. We're going to talk about another loss, another series of what-ifs, a game that felt a little bit different but ended the same, as so many have on this streak. We're going to all that. We're going to talk a little bit about that final drive, the island of misfit toys, trying to win games without Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Burrow, and Trey Hendrickson all at once. What's next? We have some injury updates, including on T. Higgins, who apparently is doing okay after what was a really scary scene towards the end of this game, and much, much more. You'll hear from Zack Taylor, you'll hear from Joe Flacco, and others. Before we get into that, though, Bengals fans, you know how the best teams are built. It's not luck. It's not just picking a person because they fit mold on paper. It's having the right people in the right roles at the right time, and that's how Joseph Toyota of Cincinnati runs their dealership. They've built a roster full of pros, people who actually know their positions, never out of place. Sales team, straight shooters. Finance department, total professionals. The service department is absolute technicians. Everyone's working together toward one goal, giving you an upfront, honest, and transparent car buying experience. So if you're checking out a new Camry, a versatile RAV4, or a tough Tundra, you'll see how that teamwork pays off. There's no gimmicks, no high-pressure blitz, just a crew that knows how to execute the game plan. And when it's time for service, their techs keep things running smooth, kind of like an offensive line that never misses an assignment. So if you're ready for a dealership built like a contender, head over to Joseph Toyota of Cincinnati, right off Colerain Avenue, or online anytime at josephtoyota.com. All right, Jay, another loss, another one that feels like they add up. The frustration it's moving towards apathy a little bit. It felt a little different in that you saw a defense play with some energy, make some plays, and feel like they were maybe bringing you a little something different, a takeaway, a pick six. There weren't as many missed tackles, but inevitably a lot of the same problems are made.
Yeah, and namely giving up conversions on 3rd and 11. It happened 2 more times. It happened last week 3 times, 2 3rd and 11s, a 3rd and 17. It happened this time, including on the drive at the end where New England took it from a 3-point lead to a 6-point lead. And that the Bengals' final drive looks a lot different. If they only need to get a field goal, they were in position where they could have kicked a field goal to tie that game, but they had to go for the touchdown. People don't want to hear it, but it was a step forward. Baby steps are important, and this was even a little more than that. I mean, goal line stands. You mentioned it. Geno Stone, 13 tackles. Barrett Carter, 16 tackles. I don't remember seeing a lot of missed tackles out there. I'm sure there was some, but I thought they played pretty well on defense, and it's a lot to ask. There's no light switches in the NFL. You don't go from terrible to great in one game. And so, yeah, those are troubling, giving up those 3rd and long conversions, but it overall, it felt like a step forward. Now, is it a step forward to jumping off the cliff? I mean, that's another reason I went with thanks for the memories, because the season's pretty much over. The playoff hopes are over at this point, as well as Joe Flacco's likely run as Bengals quarterback. But they talk about it all the time, complimentary football, and the defense gave you plenty to compliment, and the offense just couldn't take advantage of some of those rare opportunities that this defense gave them.
Yeah, the other thing is, man, tight ends again. Yeah. This is just The offensive coordinators, Josh McDaniels in this case, they show up ready to take advantage of these linebackers every week. And whether it's Ben Johnson with the trick plays or teams that have run so much misdirection, today, they were finding ways to pinpoint their matchups that they loved. And that was Hunter Henry and Austin Hooper. They combined 10 receptions for 154 yards and a touchdown. And Jay, to me, it wasn't even just that they were hitting the tight ends. I mean, guys were wide open. The touchdown, most notably. And I don't know if that was on the linebacker. It was tough to tell exactly if that should have been a pass off where Dak should have gone with them or the linebacker should have followed. We can ask more about that tomorrow when you get into the tape. But it was over and over again. And those tight ends were able to help them have long drives, even when New England was getting stopped. You have a goal line stand. A couple of times where they were standing up near the goal line, force a field goal and get a turnover on downs. But the time taken off the clock, the amount that they were able to just move the ball, you end up with the first 3 drives, 2 punts and a pick. But there wasn't a punt after that, and every drive was at least 8 plays. They didn't let up the explosives. They didn't have the missed tackles, but they still weren't able to execute at a level where you could stop them from driving the field. And the large part of that was 3rd and longs, tight ends, same as it has been.
Yeah, and we're not talking about just some random team that comes in here. It's the hottest team in the league. They've got the best record in the league, and Josh McDaniels is a really good offensive coordinator. So again, that's kind of why I feel like it was a bit of a step forward. It's just not. It wasn't the leap that it's going to take to beat a team like that. And there was a lot of new things to be encouraged about, but there were also a lot of old issues that cropped up again.
Let's hear from Zack Taylor on the message to the team after this one.
These guys they're working. It's important to them. They're not giving up on each other. They keep trying to find a way to win. It's just been one of those years where we haven't found a way at the end of the game, and that's been frustrating. It's frustrating for everybody, but guys aren't losing hope. It's important to everybody to just keep at this thing and find a way to get some momentum here. And it's going to start with one win, and we just haven't found a way to get that in a while since that Thursday night game. And that's disappointing. It's frustrating. It's heartbreaking. I feel for these guys because they're giving us everything that we ask them to give us during the course of the week and out there on Sunday. And just got to find a way to win so we can remember what that feels like.
When coaches and everybody start talking about effort and guys still playing hard, they've been cooked for a while, right? That's kind of like an old adage, and I'll commend them. Cool, it's great. They just don't have the horses.
No,
they don't have the horses on defense, and they also didn't have the horses on offense today. And Joe Flacco has come a little bit back down to earth. We'll talk a little bit about more in a second, but I just feel like effort's great, and it's nice that that's happening, but this is the NFL. It's about wins and losses. And they did say that quite a bit. I mean, it wasn't like they were running from that, but at this point, it's just so far off the rails that effort's fine, but it's just it's just another bad moment in a long season.
Yeah, big picture wise, it doesn't mean a lot, but when you think about it, that's when a locker room's been lost. When guys are punting on weeks of practice, when they're not going out and giving it all in the games. And so I do think it is important. I know fans don't want to hear it, but I do think that is important because you look at if you're going to be evaluating whether Zach comes back next year or, what you're going to do with the coaching staff as a whole, if they haven't lost the locker room, the team's still playing hard for him. I think that does carry some weight. It doesn't win games. It doesn't change a lot of things, but it does give an indication of the direction you want to or should go moving forward.
Yeah. The Bengals will go to Baltimore on a short week to play on Thursday against the Ravens. The next time they play Ravens at home will be the next home game on the 14th. We will be doing a live show down at BetMGM at the Banks. It's going to be our Christmas show. So, hey, maybe the season feels lost, but we'll give you stuff. We're going to be giving away all kinds of stuff down there. We're going to have all kinds of gifts. We're going to have tickets. We're going to have jerseys. Last year, I think we had almost $1,000 in giveaways. We're gonna be racking it up against this year, so we are ready to still have a great time at the Christmas show. That's on the 14th at 10 a.m. at BetMGM, Tom's Watch Bar, down at the Banks. come on down, join us, win some stuff, have some drinks. We'll hang out. The season may feel tough, but we're going to have a great time. We'll have the exclusive parlay boosts, all that stuff. So please, we hope to see you guys down there at that. And any other time there's a big event, tons of big events happening downtown this weekend. None of them have gone particularly well for the home teams, but you can always go down to BetMGM and Tom's Watch Bar, have some drinks, watch all the games on a million giant TVs, and really cool setup down there. So make sure you go check them out. All right, Jay, let's talk about Joe Flacco, Joe Burrow. Let me ask you kind of a question. Do they win this game with Joe Burrow?
I don't know. A healthy Joe Burrow that's been around all year, yeah. But a Joe Burrow coming back rusty and maybe a little tentative, and I don't know. That's hard to say. I think they win this game with Jamar Chase. That suspension really did cost them, especially after T goes out with a scary injury. I don't know. I don't know if they win this game with Joe Burrow. Again, if it's Joe Burrow starting his 11th game, I'd say, yeah, absolutely. But if it's Joe Burrow coming back after all this time off, I don't know that it would have been enough to make a difference.
Yeah, you're right. I think the Chase thing really showed up. When you lose T, but also just, Flacco's so comfortable with that's how the offense is running. I think you could feel like him not feeling like he had his easy button out there. Having to work through progressions more, having to find different guys in different ways. And that's not going to be as smooth as it was with Jamar out there. And without that, on a day where Flacco talked a lot about struggling to find a rhythm, that's where a lot of that ends up showing up. And it's kind of the second straight week now where the defense makes some plays, specifically in the first half, which is the only time they really definitely make plays. And you see them make these plays where the offense can go out there and get you a lead, can get you a win, really. And they just haven't been able to do it. They were so hot there his first 4 games. The last 2, he's come back to earth a little bit more. The big one, they get the pick 6. And it's like, hey, that's great. You're going to win way more than you lose when you get a pick 6 in a game, except then you give the other team one. Here's Joe Flacco on the pick 6 by Marcus Jones.
Stuff happens throughout the course of a game. I mean, it's a shame. I mean, I feel bad about the pick 6, but at the same time, I didn't see the guy, and it's one of those plays you want back. It's the simplest play in the world. Play action, look for T, check it down. I gave T all the opportunities, and they just had the right coverage on. And I mean, it like I said, you don't draw it up like that when that happens. It's one of the simplest plays in football. So those are going to hurt you.
Yeah, the pick 6 just kills you. He just doesn't see a guy. Marcus Jones steps right in front. It's easy going the other way. He had a couple more that could have been interceptions. It just didn't feel. It hasn't really the last couple of weeks felt as smooth as it did earlier in the season. Now, how much of that has to do with Chase today or just teams having the book out him? I don't know. He's also, there was a lot of speculation on how he's feeling. Well, he says the shoulder feels great and that he's actually played a lot, with less pain dealing with that. But today he hits his finger on a helmet or whatever and looks down. He says he looks down and it's like all kinds of popped out and bent different crazy ways. He had to go to the sideline and get it just pop back in. Said he's never had to do that before, so he was real curious to see what it was going to feel like when he had to trying to throw on the sidelines, and he felt fine. But I mean, the dude's given everything he's got. You gotta tip your cap to Flacco a little bit. Like, he's battled through a lot here. He's learned the offense. He's been a perfect example for sort of everybody in the building. He's not Joe Burrow, and it's not really necessarily fair to hold him to that standard.
Yeah, and Zach talked about it. He didn't owe anybody on this team anything, and the way he's played through the shoulder, and then there with the finger, a lot of guys could have tapped out at that point. The game didn't look like it was in the best spot. I can't remember if that was when they were down. Was that the final drive or the next to last drive when that happened? But that was kind of the reason I went with it. Thanks for the memories, because he's done a lot for this team. Even though the wins haven't come, what he's done has really meant a lot. And just X and O wise, one of the things I think is underrated in this game And because you were talking about too how much 2 running backs they were using, and they got 2 running backs in the game, and they're getting a lot more linebackers on the field on defense. And Flacco, you don't have Jamar Chase. Well, he's throwing passes to Mike Gesicki and Noah Fant and Drew Sample, and you're moving the ball by using those tight ends, and then Taj Brooks suffers the concussion, and that kind of rips up that part of the game plan too. So there's just a lot of things working against them today, and it just I want to commend Flacco. He's been a joy to deal with on the podium and everything, but just the way he's come in and played and really kind of gave this organization a life raft. They didn't take advantage of it, but it was there. It was there for the taking. And if the defense doesn't blow those Jets and Bears game, we're still having a different conversation right now.
Yeah, but we're not, and It just kind of rolls on. No Jamar, no T, no Burrow, no Hendrickson. Charlie reminded me before the game that I had written a story in this offseason about the most top-heavy roster in the league. They have $141 million in cash and 41% of their cap tied up in those 4 players, more than anybody else in football. And there they were with the faintest glimmer of hope in their season, blinking at the end with not a one of them out there. And you're not going to win that way in this league. And I don't know that necessarily that makes excuses for all the other things that are going wrong here, but it's 41% of their cap. Like that's who they are to their core, certainly the big 3 on offense. And to essentially be playing without all of them, it's not easy. There's also, you end up with a couple of spots in this game where, okay, they had a couple of 4th downs. They could have been more aggressive. And Zack Taylor wasn't. He gave up when the bot twice said strong go at over 2% win probability. The one at their 40, I believe, their own 40, 4th and 1, didn't need a whole lot. Tried to draw them off and punted. He said he felt like the defense was playing a little better and they'd be able to get them back. But yeah, they were. But then it ends up again, we talked about those long drives. Maybe they were getting some stops and not missing tackles, but they were still moving the ball consistently. I just think that's one at this game where I'm just maybe the defense is playing a little better. I'm not going to all of a sudden start playing a game where I'm not being more aggressive, especially on 4th and short. I didn't like that one.
Yeah, I mean, if they're playing better, then you trust them to at least hold them to a field goal. They were actually at the 45. The delay of game knocked it back to the 40. So, I mean, he's doing things out of character. How many times have we seen him go, regardless of opponent, time of the game? 4th and 1 on your own 45, he goes for that almost every time. And I thought that was a key decision. Who knows if they get it or not, but you at least give yourself a chance. And if you don't get it, the defense can hold them to a field goal. And if the defense doesn't hold them, then at least the drive doesn't take as much time off the clock.
Yeah. Inevitably, mistakes, not having your guys, all of it plays into yet another loss. And they will turn around now on Thursday and play in Baltimore. All right, let's flip forward to the Joseph Toyota drive of the game. We can talk about that last drive of the game where you end up with, T. Higgins goes down. He has the concussion. He leaves. You're out there and they have to try to go the length of the field to score a touchdown. They end up going 13 plays, 46 yards. It ends on the New England 26. It's Mitch Tinsley. It's Mike Gesicki. It's Andre Yosevich. It's Charlie Jones is out there. Hudson, it's a lot of pieces in different places. Joe Flacco, a quarterback, trying to make it work. They get a 4th down conversion to Tinsley. They get a ball down the middle, and all of a sudden they're in position when Yoshi goes down all the way up near around 26, and couldn't finish it off. But there was so many different things happening there. Here's Zack Taylor talking about that last drive.
In the game, you're out there trying to come back. No Jamar, no T, no Joe Burrow, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, how does that challenge you? How does that change the way you approach the calls and how you do a drive like that?
Yeah, just a lot of credit to those guys out there because those personnel groupings aren't things that we've ever operated out of before. And so guys just understanding what position they're playing, who's in the game, concepts that most of those guys have not worked all week, at least at the position they were probably playing at the end of the game. Thought the coaches did a great job on the sidelines, the position coaches trying to cover every base. I mean, we have to cover the last plays on the move there inside the 30-yard line with guys none of those guys have been in that position before. And so he still felt we were going to find a way. I mean, he takes an alert to Mitch for a touchdown, and that's the kind of game it was where guys just kept stepping up and you kept believing that eventually we're going to find a way to win it, and just came up a couple yards short.
On the whole,
Yeah, so there's Zack Taylor talking about there's guys that haven't repped it. I talked to Mitch Tinsley after the game, and he kind of pointed out, it's not that, he's like, I have to know all three positions. So it's things that he has to know and does know all those different spots, but it's not stuff that he's repped this week. It's not like he has a bunch of that. Kudos to Mitch, man. What a story. That dude, all he does is just make plays every time he's in there. He's lined up one-on-one with Christian Gonzalez, one of the best corners in the league on the outside, catches a free release, stacks him, gets him behind him. Flacco puts a gorgeous ball right over his shoulder, hauls it down, gets the feet down in the corner. All he does is make plays. Fourth down, ball comes in, hell of a job keeping concentration on it for a fourth down conversion. I mean, if they do go in and finish that thing off, we're talking about the Mitch Tinsley story here and how remarkable it is. And it's sort of like, I feel this way about a lot of stuff, Jay. So many stories that are worthwhile, so many performances and efforts that are worth talking about, you don't. And they get washed over. They get glossed over because the team's just not good enough and they lose all these games and all of that stuff. But it's like there are these individual things you're like, man, there's still battle out there and you appreciate those guys, but inevitably you can't really focus on it because it's just not enough.
Yeah, and it's important too because you're talking about it. I know they're not, but if you're looking toward next year, the wide receiver depth is going to be a big part of that. The way you're building that 26 roster, and he's showing he deserves to be a part of that. And it makes you wonder too, like what the guys on defense that aren't getting a chance. You give these guys a chance, you get them in there and see what they can do, and they come through for you. So maybe we see that more once they're mathematically eliminated. But it was really, really impressive what Mitch Tinsley did. I know it was just 2 catches, but they were 2 huge catches.
Yeah. So the final drive ends up falling short. There a couple, I'd like to go back and check the all 22. The replay showed maybe the guys were there a little early on each of those last 2. And the third down stood out in particular to me, where you'd like to see, potential for a flag there. But again, those are tough flags to throw. It probably has to be more than obvious. And it wasn't. So they end up, it doesn't matter. But they were in such a tough spot to be asked to go out there and do it. So it's kind of, this game, they get the pick six, a couple of goal line stands, keeps it from being maybe more of the blowout that you thought it would be. But this is how most Patriots games have gone this year. This is what they've done. They have just been, they don't beat themselves for the most part. I guess Drake May did the bad pick six, but they kind of just wear you down. They do things right, and they did here. They never really made enough plays, even though they probably would view it as a little bit of an ugly win. But they were out there playing with backups at both tackles and all kinds of stuff there. So, but they find a way to win because they're a team that finds ways to win, and the Bengals are a team that seems to find ways to lose. So it should be not surprising that one found a way to lose and the other one found a way to win in a close game.
Yeah, and on that final drive too, I thought there was a key moment where the ball, was it Tinsley or was it Yoshi? I think it was Yoshi, where at first they ruled he didn't get out of bounds, and they're running the clock, and then they get, and I was talking to you, I was like, they waved it as if they were stopping the clock, and then they get the video assist. They realize, okay, he did get out of bounds. They get an extra 15 seconds. That was huge at that point, and you just wonder. I know officials don't work this way, but you wonder if it's in the back of their mind where it's like, okay, the Bengals caught a break on that one. The next one's bang, bang. Maybe if that doesn't happen, then one of those gets called pass interference. But the idea of, going 2 close calls against a team, it just, they were close, but you're right. And I think a lot of people would agree, if you're not rooting for one of the teams, that you don't want to see the officials decide a game in that situation. You want it to be more than obvious, and those were pretty tight.
Yep. Injuries, milestones, Higgins with a concussion. I know his mom had tweeted that he seems to be doing all right, but it was a scary moment. He ended up going off on the cart. So Taj Brooks also with a concussion sustained on the kickoff. Guys with concussions coming back on a Thursday short week is pretty much a never situation. So I think you're going to be without Higgins on Thursday now, even if potentially Joe Burrow comes back. Also, Evan McPherson, who's quietly had a really nice year, has a big day, sets a franchise record with a 63-yard field goal that had even a couple more yards to it. He was talking the other day about how he just wants more attempts from 50-plus because he feels like he's hitting it really well. He hasn't really had much chance. And so he gets it today. He hits the 63, hits another long one. He hasn't missed from inside 50 this year. We talked a lot about him this year as a variable and a guy who's going back to his old technique and all that stuff. Seems to have straightened that out, quietly having a nice year, and has a big moment here today when he hits the 63-yarder before halftime.
Yeah, and I talked to him too, and he said that maybe his rookie year he doesn't hit that because he said he would just assume, if you remember how that drive started, they were way backed up, and he would just assume, oh, there's no way we're going to kick here. And then Chase Brown rips off a 21-yard run on the first play. Zach's screaming down the sideline, gets the timeout. They get a pass to T, and all of a sudden they're at the 40 and in position to take that shot, or at the 35 rather, or I don't know what, 45. And so he was ready. He knew as soon as they got the ball, there was a shot. He was ready, and a big – series not the record anymore, but for the longest time, that was kind of the white whale. That was the NFL record. That's the number everybody was shooting for. So he still said that was meaningful for him to make that kick, and he drilled it. It probably would have been good from 4 or 5 yards longer.
363 or longer field goals made this year in the NFL. It's the K-balls matter. Just ask, the guy who couldn't get it there from 54, but the same guy who buries it from that far away, probably the same strike. You're seeing that happen, not just here, but across the league. Next game, Thanksgiving in Baltimore. Potentially Joe Burrow is going to play in that. Sort of more conversation with Zack Taylor. The impression that I got this week was that this was not gamesmanship. This was not, they're acting like he's going to play. I think after those Wednesday and Thursday practices, the thought was there's a really good chance that Joe Burrow is going to be able to do this. But I just think the feeling after Friday was it wasn't perfect in terms of everything aligning, of feeling 100% confident of all the variables and all the elements going into this Sunday game. And when you pair that with 2 games in 5 days and how Flacco had played pretty well offensively, that they were going to take precaution with a guy like that in this spot, rather than ask him to go out here and then come back 5 days later, because you just don't know. You don't know exactly how it's going to react until you get out there. But they're trending and hoping that he will be able to go on Thursday, but it's still kind of in a we'll see mode, is basically how Zack Taylor talked about it after the game. So that storyline will continue this week on the short week.
They are 3-8. It probably goes without saying, but no team has ever made the playoffs after a 3-8 start. There's always one. There's always 1 in 143 or something like that. Never happened. Now, they just recently expanded to 17 games, but I'm sure that is something that they could try to hang their hats on, say we could be the first to do something. It would take winning out, obviously, but you do feel good if you're the Bengals and Joe Burrow comes back. You feel like he gives you a shot in every single game. It starts Thursday. Got to win that one, obviously.
Narrator, they would not come back to make the playoffs this year, right? Like it's
9-8,
nice to say. We'll be the first, right? We'll be that's nice to say. That's not happening. But anyway, we'll be there regardless. We'll be bringing you everything all season long. Of course, I'm headed out for a couple of days this week. Mark and Jay will be hitting you up with PD and J. Plus, I have a special episode. I got to do it. Talking draft with Dane Brugler this week, talking about the state of the top 10. That episode will be out on Tuesday morning, so keep an eye out for that. Great stuff. I recorded it before this game, and really good stuff from Dane on who you should be watching, what matters in college football, and as you start to think about what this draft could look like for this defense through the Bengals lens. So have that coming your way this week as well. And then I'll be in Baltimore, so we'll have Walkout from that on Thanksgiving night. So enjoy it with your family. Wake up on Friday and take in another gorgeous walkout. We certainly can't wait to do that for you. So, all right. Thanks, everybody, for watching and for listening. We will talk to you next time. Have a good one.